Africa, a continent of 54 nations, home to over 1.4 billion people, blessed with oil, gold, diamonds, fertile land, and the minerals that power the modern world. Yet Africa also carries scars carved by centuries of colonialism, when European empires ruled not through unity but through division. The British called it divide and rule. The French called it mission civilisatrice. The Italians, Portuguese, Belgians, they all had their own terms. But the strategy was the same: keep Africans divided, pit one group against another, and make sure no single power could rise strong enough to resist foreign control. When independence came in the mid-20th century, many believed the nightmare was over. The colonial flags came down, African leaders raised their own, and people dreamed of true sovereignty. But the truth is, divide and rule never disappeared. It simply changed hands. And today, the new master of this old game is not Britain, not France, not Belgium. It is the United States of America. Yes, America. The nation that calls itself the defender of freedom, the land of democracy, the champion of human rights. But behind the polished speeches, behind the foreign aid and development programs, Washington is using the same colonial playbook that Europe once used. Only this time with more advanced tools, more deadly weapons, and a much bigger stage. So to really understand this, let's go back to the year 2007. That's when the United States created AFRICOM, or the United States Africa Command. Officially, its mission was to fight terrorism and bring stability. But in reality, it became the umbrella under which America extended its military, political, and economic grip over the continent. These days, America actually has military presence in more than 29 African countries. There are drone bases in Niger, special forces are stationed in Somalia, surveillance flights happen over the Sahel, there are training programs in Kenya, Uganda, and Nigeria. And let's not forget, there are naval operations off the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. So what's the justification? Terrorism, extremism, security threats. But here's the irony. Wherever America goes, instability seems to last longer, conflicts seem to grow sharper, and divisions deepen. This isn't by accident. It's actually the modern form of divide and rule. Look at Somalia. For decades, Somalia has battled al-Shabaab, an extremist group tied to al-Qaeda. America intervened with drones, special operations, and billions in military aid. But those drone strikes often killed civilians. Weddings, villages, markets. Every civilian casualty creates new recruits for extremists. The war never ends, and Somalia stays dependent on Washington's help. Look at Sudan. Once united under one government, Sudan has now been split into rival factions. Civil war burns in Khartoum and Darfur. And America? It plays both sides, pushing negotiations here, applying sanctions there, offering aid with one hand while pulling strings with the other. Instead of peace, the chaos drags on. Look at Ethiopia. In the war between the federal government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, Washington condemned Addis Ababa while quietly signaling sympathy for Tigray rebels. The message was clear. America will never allow one side to become too powerful. Balance the conflict, prolong the tension, and maintain leverage. And then there is the Sahel region, stretching across Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. In just a few years, we've seen multiple coups, most of them led by military officers who once trained under Western, including American programs. These coups weaken democracy, sow mistrust, and destabilize entire regions. Each time a government falls, America adjusts its alliances. But one thing remains constant. The Sahel stays fractured, weak, and open to foreign exploitation. So why does Washington want a divided Africa? The answer is simple: resources. Africa is the richest continent on Earth. Cobalt from Congo powers your smartphone and electric cars. Uranium from Niger fuels nuclear plants. Oil from Nigeria and Angola keeps industries alive. Lithium, gold, diamonds, rare earths, Africa has it all. Whoever controls Africa's resources controls the future of technology, energy, and global power. And here's the dark truth. A united Africa could use these resources to rise as a global superpower. But a divided Africa, that is easy to manipulate, easy to pressure, easy to control. That's why divide and rule remains the perfect strategy. But America doesn't only use armies and weapons. It uses narratives. NGOs, media outlets, think tanks, all play their role. Leaders are painted as democratic or dictators depending on whether they obey Washington's interests. Protests in one country are amplified while protests in another are ignored. News about Africa is framed to show instability and chaos, rarely progress and success. This psychological divide is just as powerful as the military one. Yet, something is happening. Across the continent, Africans are waking up. In Niger, thousands marched against foreign military bases. In Mali and Burkina Faso, citizens demanded foreign troops leave their soil. In South Africa, Ethiopia, and Nigeria, leaders are building new ties with China, Russia, and BRICS nations. They see that Washington's promises come with hidden chains, and they want alternatives. The United States calls this a threat. They label it as foreign interference, or anti-democratic movements. But for many Africans, it is liberation. It is about breaking the cycle of dependency, about saying no more divide and rule. Still, the struggle is not easy, you know. America has enormous influence. Its drones fly across African skies and its dollars flow through African economies. Its media shapes African images worldwide. Divide and rule is more sophisticated now. It uses sanctions instead of chains, propaganda instead of colonial laws, and precision bombs instead of muskets. But there is hope. Africa is no longer the passive victim of the 1880s Berlin Conference. Today, it has the African Union. It has regional blocs. It has rising youth, millions of young Africans connected, educated, and demanding change. The dream of Pan-Africanism, once voiced by leaders like Kwame Nkrumah and Julius Nyerere, is being revived by a new generation. Imagine an Africa united, not divided. Imagine a continent controlling its own resources, building its own industries, protecting its own borders. Imagine an Africa that no longer needs to beg or borrow from Washington, Paris, or Beijing. That is the vision divide and rule is designed to stop, but that is also the vision that Africans themselves can make real. So we return to the question, why has America just made divide and rule more deadly in Africa? Because with advanced technology, drones, and global media, the strategy is more powerful than ever before. But we also return to another question. Can Africa resist? Can Africa unite? The answer lies not in Washington, not in Beijing, not in Moscow, but in Addis Ababa, Lagos, Nairobi, Johannesburg, and every African city where young people are demanding change. Africa's story is not finished. Divide and rule may be alive, but so is unity, resistance, and the dream of freedom. So, what do you think? Is America protecting Africa, or exploiting it under the cover of friendship? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you believe the truth about Africa must be told. And subscribe for more deep stories that reveal the hidden struggles shaping our world.